Hi guys, welcome to this next video. Today we're going to be looking at finding the equation of the line. A little bit more abstract than our previous ones, and this one's where the information is a little bit different or maybe not as much as you might have seen in the past. So we're still with our students understand linear relations learning goal, and at the end of this we'll be able to determine the equation of a sketch line and determine the equation of a line from some given details. Alright. So it's at this point I want to remind you that a linear equation or a linear function is something that describes a set of points which, when graphed on a Cartesian plane, will be in a nice line like this. It's really important to realize that it's just feeding a whole bunch of x values, for example, in that give you a whole bunch of y values, pairs them together, and they all just happen to be nicely on a line like that. Okay, so it's just good for you to think about it like that rather than graphs necessarily, like a graph that you might do in science or geography, for example. Okay, so a couple of key ideas. Now there's two things we need when determining a linear equation in the form y equals mx plus c. So the first is the gradient m, which we calculate by delta y over delta x, or the other ways you might remember that are y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1, or rise over run, a bunch of different ways. Doesn't really matter. I just like this way. Mathematicians are nice and lazy, and it sort of gets you in the mood for later on when we do calculus, where we can work out the gradient of far more complicated functions than linear functions. Okay, and the other thing that you need is the value of that constant c, and you find that using either substitution or by observation of some kind of graph. Okay, there are two methods, and one at the end that we'll look at to find our linear equation. The first one is finding the equation using the y-intercept and one other point that we've been given. So let's draw a graph here, and I don't know why it's been silly like that. Okay, let's try again. Okay, drawing a nice line here. Let's say to ourselves that this here is y equals, here we have an x-axis, here's our y, this is y equals -3, and let's say there's just some other point on the line that we've been given, which is 4, 3. Okay, now the first thing we need to do is find our gradient. So we do that by m is equal to delta y over delta x, which is y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1, which gets us 3 minus -3 over 4 minus, now where's the x value for this? Remember, it's the intercept, so it's going to be 0. So we have 6 over 4, which is 3 over 2. Okay, and our c value, remember, that's just the y-intercept, and we can see that right here. So c is just nice and -3. So therefore, our equation is y equals, so it's mx plus c, so our m value here is equal to 3 over 2x. Our c is -3 minus 3. And there we are. Okay, so it's fairly easy if you think about and break it down and look at the bits you've got. Okay, let's have a look at our next one, finding the equation using the gradient and one other point that we've been given. So let's draw ourselves another line, trying not to make it scroll everywhere. Okay, so now this time we're going to give ourselves 2 points that are completely not on our intercepts at all. Let's make this one -2 and 9, and make this one 2, 1. Okay, so our first thing we're going to do is we're going to find the gradient. So m is delta, oops, that's the worst delta I think I've ever drawn. Delta y, so is that, over delta x, which is y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1, which is, in this case, y2. Now remember, it's as we travel across this way, so our y2 is this one here, so 1 minus -9 so it's not negative 9, just minus good old plain 9, 1 minus 9, over 2 minus negative 2. And that gets us, 1 minus 9 is negative 8. 2 minus negative 2 is 4. Negative 8 over 4 gets us negative 2. Okay, so that's our m value. Therefore, m is negative 2. Now, how do we find our c value? Because it's not actually been given to us. So let's think about our equation. So we've got y equals mx plus c, right? We've got our c value, so we've got our m value, so let's sub that in. So y equals negative 2x plus c. Now, what we do now is that we sub in, so we substitute in either of these 2 points. We're going to choose this one here, sub in 2, 1, okay, where x is 2, y is 1, and so we chuck that into our equation, and we've got 1 is equal to negative 2 times 2, so there's our y, there's our x, plus c. And now what we need to do is here is solve it for c, which, so we've got 1 is equal to negative 4 plus c. We're going to add 4 to both sides, and that gets us 5 is equal to c, right? So therefore, our equation is y equals negative 2 plus 5, okay? Oops, not negative 2 plus 5, negative 2x plus 5, negative 2x plus 5, okay? Now, when we come up here, let's have a look. Does that look about right here? It's above the 2, you know, sort of lower than the 9. So yeah, that kind of makes sense. I'm happy with that. Okay, lastly one. Find the equation of a line with a gradient of 7 and a point A, 3, 4, which lies on the line. So it's very similar to the last one, but we're given no graph to start with. So we could say since m equals 7, therefore we got y is equal to 7x plus c. And we're going to do like we did before. We're going to sub in 3, 4, which gets us y is 4 equals 7 times 3 plus c. 7 times 3 on most days is 21. So we've got 4 equals 21 plus c. We're going to subtract 21 from both sides, giving us negative 17 is equal to c. Therefore, we've got y is equal to 7x minus 17. And there's our linear equation. Okay, so a couple of different ways there. It's really important that you practice lots of these and have a go at all the different types of situations so that nothing's going to be a surprise for you if you need to demonstrate these kind of skills. Okay, and being able to sort of wrestle with and understand and sort of like feel how linear equations are behaving is really important, a nice fundamental skill for you in your mathematics career. So I want to thank you so much for watching. Please come and see me straight away if there's anything you didn't understand or are unsure of. Okay, thank you.